Next item, the ever-present coronavirus conversation, how it's affected the NFL schedule. No positive tests for the Patriots or Titans today, which is positive news. Titans still set to play the Bills tomorrow night, which is good, because if Titans-Bills gets postponed, that's the first game that goes to an 18th week, whenever that may be, which who knows at this point, because the NFL is doing their damnedest to not even think about a Week 18, hoping that not thinking about it can will it from happening. Shireen, let me tell you this that I heard today. I haven't written it yet at PFT. There was a belief last week in league circles that the league was going to hammer the Titans with unprecedented punishment. One general manager speculated suspensions for the balance of the season for Coach Mike Vrabel and GM John Robinson. $10 million fine. First-round draft pick gone. Again, that was just a guess from somebody who runs one of these franchises. Now there's a vibe that I've picked up on that the Titans may ultimately not be punished at all. And I'm trying to harmonize that. And it could be that last week was all about huffing and puffing to help secure the attention of the other 31 franchises. The ultimate, I'm going to turn this car around right now if you don't shut up in the back seat. Something, Shireen, I'm sure both you and I heard back in the 70s when we were growing up and being loud in the back seat. But I digress. But now there's a thought that, because it hasn't happened yet, and it stunned me that it hasn't happened yet. And I thought maybe the NFL is just making sure they get their ducks in a row so they don't get themselves into a bounty scandal or Deflategate type of a situation where someone like me says, wait a minute. You're railroading this team. You're not being fair with the facts. You're misrepresenting what happened. You're trying too hard to justify the punishment. I thought that was the case. Someone very influential in league circles believes that it's just going to all die down, it's going to all go away, and it's never going to be heard from again. And there's so much other stuff going on in the NFL that it's not going to take long to run out the clock on the expectation that the Titans are going to get punished. And at the end of the day, Shireen, they may not get punished at all.
Mike, John Robinson had a press conference right before we came on the air, too, and he talked about all the changes they've made within the organization. Said they have not heard anything on the penalties, as you said, but they've moved 26 lockers into a bubble to try to spread things out. They've done the air filtration system. They've changed that. He said there were some mask inconsistencies, and they asked what the inconsistencies were, and he said, well, not necessarily wearing it over the nose all the time, getting lax with it, pulling it down, things like that. So they're trying to make these changes, but he said they have not heard of any punishment that they're going to get. He says he will hold his breath now. They get their test results sometime between 3:30 and 4:30 a.m., and they hope that they're all negative and they've gotten through this, and tomorrow when they wake up, they can play a game and be on the right side. Now, they're going to be missing a couple coaches who aren't going to be clear. They're going to miss in a lot of players. We're already getting some players coming back off the COVID list. They've had this for so long, but they are going to be missing some players as they go play. So it will be interesting to see if they are punished by the league. I would find it stunning if nothing is done to them, and I do think you need to send some sort of a message that, you know, you had some problems within your organization that you didn't handle correctly.
Here's the fundamental dynamic, and here's the real question. We've already gone over, but I want to be clear on this and as concise as possible. How do you prove that violations that potentially were committed by the Titans and everyone else, right? All you have to do is watch any game, and you realize that the compliance with the protocols is far from universal. Case in point, in the protocols that were reissued last week, a clear requirement that in Buffalo and San Francisco, masks must be worn even by players not in the game. Well, watch the game yesterday. Masks weren't being worn for the most part by the players not in the game. So how do you connect the reality that everyone is failing to comply with the letter of the protocols at all times with an outbreak, especially when the positives are coming in dribs and drabs that you can potentially say there isn't a connection? It's not like everybody sat around a room together with their masks off in a meeting room, elbow to elbow, and all of those guys got it 4 days later. And I don't know that happened with the Titans. It could be that just in Nashville, there's a lot of people that have it, and guys are going home and they're getting it. I know the Patriots believe they don't have an outbreak, that they think guys are testing positive through means outside of the facility. So I think before the NFL picks this fight with the Titans, they better be damn sure that they can win it, because there will be appeal mechanisms. There will be a court of public opinion run by the media saying, wait a minute, NFL, we think you're not being fair here. We think you don't have your case buttoned up, and we think what you're doing to the Titans is unwarranted. And I don't think the NFL wants that sideshow either.
That's what's so hard about this virus, as we all know, even people outside the NFL know. You don't know where you got it necessarily all the time. You don't know who you spread it to. They don't know who they spread it to, and this thing just takes off. And as John Robinson said, we're talking about a little microorganism here that's gotten in our building somehow, some way. And, whether it's spreading from player to player or different people are getting it home and coming back and tested positive, who knows? But yeah, they better be 100% sure if and when they penalize the Titans. And if they don't, hopefully teams have learned their lesson from what the Titans have gone through, that you have to be extra careful. You have to wear your mask properly within the building at all times. You have to do absolutely everything you can for risk mitigation. And sometimes that isn't enough, but you have to do everything you can. And as we're seeing again and again and again, it doesn't always happen like that, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.